Hi, perfect English students being taught by the perfect tutor. Welcome to the December month, where we are going to deal with a lot of important topics that we will never miss in an exam. Please pay attention as the lessons will be conducted. In this video, we are going to look at a very interesting topic, a very important topic. Guess what? Subject-Verb Agreement. I hope you're ready. We can start now. I'll start by defining a subject, since this word is in our topic here, subject-verb agreement. So I would like to talk about the parts of a sentence. These are what we call the parts of a sentence. Any sentence has got these parts that I'm going to explain right now. The first one is the subject. What is a subject, students? A subject is a person or a thing performing an action in a sentence. Person or a thing performing an action in a sentence. What is a verb? A verb is a doing word. We have said the subject is performing an action. The subject is performing an action. So that action that is being performed by the subject is what we refer to as the verb. Hence, a verb can also be defined as an action word. Simple as that. What is an object? An object is a person or a thing receiving an action in a sentence. When we say a person or a thing, we mean it can be a human being or just any other thing apart from human beings. So, I hope you are able to connect these three words here. The subject, the verb, and the object. So the subject is performing an action. That action is called a verb. Now, a person or a thing receiving that action is what we are referring to as what? The object. Simple as that. These are the three parts of a sentence, the three major parts. So now, let me give you a practical example that will help you understand this. Mulenga is kicking the ball. You know when they say mention the parts of a sentence, just remember this example. Mulenga is kicking the ball. You are going to mention them all. So when we say Mulenga is kicking the ball, we want to identify the verb, the subject, and the object. Mulenga is kicking the ball. So who is kicking the ball here? It's Mulenga, right? Very good. So Mulenga is our subject because we say the subject is a person or a thing performing an action in a sentence. Then look at this word here, kicking. What is Mulenga doing? Mulenga is kicking the ball. This is the action being performed by Mulenga. Hence, this is called a verb. Now, Mulenga is kicking. Mulenga is kicking. Very interesting. What is receiving the action of kicking here? What is Mulenga kicking? Mulenga is kicking the ball. Hence, the ball is the object. Simple as that. Now, there is another part that is very important. This word is. So, we call this as an auxiliary verb. Why? It always comes before the main verb. The main verb is kicking. Now, which word can you see coming just before the word kicking? It is, right? So, is called the auxiliary verb. Is called the auxiliary verb. So now, when we talk about this topic, subject-verb agreement, we're not talking about this subject, Mulenga, agreeing with the verb kicking. No. We are talking about this subject, Mulenga, agreeing with the auxiliary verb. Very interesting. You will like this. Mulenga is kicking the ball. So what we look at in subject-verb agreement is the agreement between the subject and the auxiliary verb and not the main verb. So for any sentence to be deemed correct, we mean for any sentence to be recognized or to be considered to be correct, there ought to be, or let me simply say there must be, an agreement between the subject and the verb. So remember, I said when we say agreement between the subject and the verb, we are talking about the auxiliary verb and not the main verb, both in gender and number. So the agreement is considered both in gender and number. So we are going to look at these two things separately. Let us look at the rules. The rules about gender. The rules about gender. So I hope you know this. You've been exposed to these words before. For males, we use he. And you know, this is called a pronoun. He, him, his. This is what we use for males. I won't waste much time here. I know you know these words. For females, we use she, her, and hers. What is the difference? This one is when it is an object. Here, an object. This one, his, is possession. Here is possession, hers. This one is the pronoun. This one is the pronoun. Now look at this example. Johnny introduced Mary to me as her sister. Johnny introduced Mary to me as her sister. So that is wrong English. Very wrong English. Johnny introduced Mary to me as her sister. What is our subject here? Our subject is John, who did or who performed the action of introducing. So we are not following Mary, regardless of her being close to the pronoun. What we are following is the subject, John. John is a male. You say, John introduced Mary to me as his sister. His sister. Let us look at number. I know you know those things. He, his, hers, him. You know them. Let us look at number. This is where most of the students get confused. Number. So when we talk about number in English, we're not talking about 1, 2, 3. Though it's a bit similar, but we are talking about singular or plural. The two forms of words. Singular or plural. So you cannot say John have 2 shops in town. John have 2 shops. This is very wrong. This is very wrong. We follow the rule for the number. You have to say John has 2 shops. John has 2 shops. Mary and Jared is walking. Mary and Jared is walking. Is there agreement between the subject and the verb here? And remember I said, when we say subject-verb agreement, we are talking about agreement between this word here, the subject. In this case, we have 2, Mary and Jared, and the auxiliary verb, the verb or the word coming just before the main verb. Is there agreement here? Mary and Jared is walking. So this is what we call number. This is what we call number. These are 2. We have 2 people here. So we're not supposed to use this verb, this auxiliary verb. We have to put a plural one because this is plural. Here we had singular. We're supposed to put what? Singular. Let us look at the rules now. Let us look at the rules. So for singular verbs, singular auxiliary verbs, we have is. The past tense of is was. Then the possession, under singular we have has. The past tense of has is had. Had. So John has 2 shops. If it's in the past, we say John had 2 shops. Plural verbs, we have are. The past tense of are is were. Were. Possession, it's a have. Have. Now here it's very interesting. We don't have another past tense for have. It's the same, had. So whether you're talking about one or many, as long as it's in the past possession, you use the had. They had, he had. That's how it is. So that is about possessioning, the auxiliary verbs. These are the ones we'll be looking at throughout this topic. Now look at these interesting rules here. Let us look at the rules. The rules. So a singular subject must have a singular verb. A singular subject must have a singular verb. A plural subject must have a plural verb. It's very simple and straightforward here. So we have to say Charity has two shops. No, Charity have two shops. No, Charity has two shops. If it's in the past, we say Charity had two shops. Johnny and Mary are walking in the park. Johnny and Mary are walking in the park. So like this, there is agreement between the subject and the verb here. And remember I said by us saying the verb, we mean the auxiliary verbs. We mean the auxiliary verbs. So Johnny and Mary, the subject, this is plural. We can't say is walking. So are walking. Interesting, right? Precious had 3 cars in 2016. Precious had 3 cars in 2016. This is just one Precious. So we can't say have. No, we're going to say had because it's in the past and this is singular. Very good. Let us look at rule number 2. You know, the rules keep advancing. The rules keep advancing. So, but you know them, don't worry. A phrase or a clause that interrupts a subject and its verb does not affect the subject-verb agreement. So we have the subject-verb agreement. Now there is a phrase or a clause that is interrupting this agreement. The rule is saying it has no effect. It has no effect. Look at this example. The actor most admired by the pupils is on stage. The actor most admired by the pupils is on stage. So what are we talking about here? The subject is the actor. We have said the actor. Now this statement here, most admired by the pupils, is just interrupting this. It is just interrupting this so that we can get confused here. So the actor most admired by the pupils, we're not going to say are on stage. If we say are on stage, then we mean the actor is not the subject, rather the pupils. The actor is not the subject, but the pupils. That's what we are going to mean if we do it that way. Now, since we know English, we know the principles of English, we are perfect students. The correct English here is the actor most admired by the pupils is on stage, because we only have one actor here, the actor. So the agreement here is the actor is on stage. The police officers who arrested Mulenga have been fired. So this one, who arrested Mulenga, is just there to interrupt. It's a clause that is interrupting this agreement here. The police officers, meaning it's not one police officer here. There are many police officers. So we are going to say have been fired. Have been fired. Please, please, please pay attention to the rules. The teacher who punished the pupils has gone to Choma. So we are not going to follow the pupils here. This statement is just interrupting. Our subject here is the teacher. Hence our verb will be has gone to Choma, not have gone to Choma. Because our subject is the teacher. The teacher has gone to Choma. Now this one is just there to interrupt. Who punished the pupils? We are following the teacher and not the pupils. Rule number 3. 2 or more singular subjects joined by or no must have a singular verb. This is very interesting. Please pay attention. 2 or more singular subjects joined by or no must have a singular verb. What do we mean? For example, a car or a bus. A car or bus is the only means of travel to Chipata. So we have said 2 or more singular subjects. This is a singular subject. A car, a bus is also a singular subject. So we have 2 singular subjects joined by or here, or this or that you are seeing here. So the rule says you must put a singular verb. So a car or bus is the only, not are the only. Not are the only means of travel to Chipata. Say a car or a bus is the only means of travel to Chipata. Michael or Charles is expected at the party. Don't say Michael or Charles are expected at the party. No. The rule is saying as long as it is joined by or no and the subjects are singular, you have to put a singular verb. Neither Melody nor Charles is going to represent us. Neither Melody nor Charles is going to represent us. Don't say neither Melody nor Charles are going to represent us. No, that is wrong English.